Hello everybody, welcome to the fourth video on big units for rapid fire, and this is, as you may have guessed, the Afrika Korps. It's the three main divisions of the Afrika Korps, not the 30 or 30 plus divisions that were inside the Afrika Korps. It's of course about the 15th Panzer, the 21st Panzer here, and the 90 Light Division. I try to make things for the LLMain campaign. Of course, I introduced some early models also to be able to play the campaigns for the North African campaign, for the early North African campaign, mainly from this book by Colin Ramford, of course. But my aim, my goal is to be able to field whatever is necessary for Monty's Desert Battles. Also, the very tasty PDFs that Rapid Fire made are also one of my goals. To help me organize as big units, I have Battistelli's book and Bradford's book. Bradford's book, which is funny because he made me realize that trying to make, the Afrika Korps 1 to 5 in vehicles and 1 to 15 in men, it's virtually impossible. It is too many units, and here are only, of course, the three main ones, the most famous, and the ones that are necessary, of course, to fight most of the actions. The other ones were a little bit to the rear or to the coast or whatever, and I will never even try to make them. I'm happy with this because I have the main units. For instance, the inside each of the three divisions, the Panzer Regiment 8 here, Panzer Regiment 5, then the several flak battalions, reconnaissance battalions, artillery regiments, Panzerjäger also battalions of the three main divisions. For instance, you in my opinion, in my thinking, my way of thinking, for instance, I need the three Aufklärungsabteilungen, famous reconnaissance. This is my best German I can. Sorry to have produced just some strange sound. The three reconnaissance battalions are necessary because, for instance, Rommel used to like to use them as a quasi force and like a little bit like a frontline unit, even if not very well. Some criticize that part of Rommel's strategy, and even not being very well able to use them properly, because in fact they were not made, of course, with 20mm armor to face big guns, as sometimes they would have to do when they were facing frontline units. So I think they are necessary. For instance, having the three artillery battalions, maybe it is a little bit of exaggeration, a little bit with the flak, also the same. Maybe one Panzerjägerabteilung would be enough to represent what is necessary. Because when I was reading about the Afrika Korps campaigns, I was also trying to find campaigns and battles in which a maximum number of units was necessary. This was also making me to target a certain number of vehicles. For instance, I found actions in which, in fact, two Panzer regiments were more or less together. As I told you, also the reconnaissance battalions used to work together. But then I couldn't find effectively many actions in which, at least on the tabletop, you can place, for instance, the three artillery regiments or the three flak battalions together, or even the three tank hunter battalions together, the Panzerjägerabteilungen. The same happened with infantry, for instance. You need, for these three divisions, a total of 12 battalions. I only have 6. Because 6 is, I think, the maximum I found for any of the big actions, like, for instance, El Alamein. They were all together in El Alamein, but they were separated by so many kilometers that sometimes you don't need to show, of course, all of them. So this is my idea, you understand? I try to make things like this, trying to use units, trying to use models for making units that were more or less the maximum I could. It's always what I try to do. I try to do in each campaign, I try to do the maximum number of vehicles of a certain kind that can be used more or less altogether. So it's more or less my thinking. In order not to go too much in buying and producing stuff, otherwise, I mean, I don't have time to eat and that kind of stuff. So this forces me, of course, to let's go to the vehicles. This forces me to buy on the cheap side. So, for instance, plenty of the models for this Panzer Regiment 8, you can see here, are the very cheap armor fast, which need a lot of attention because you need to place plenty of details on them. For instance, the escape hatch, that I don't know why they didn't put it in the model, something very strange. If it is a gun with a of course if it is a short 50 millimeter, it should have, of course, in any of the models should have the escape hatch in the hull. It didn't, so you have to scratch build one, and you have, as you can see, who knows the brand and the model, Panzer 3G, knows that Panzer 3G from Armor Fast is much simpler than this. I also did the same with the ones with the L or J versions with the long 50 millimeter. There are plenty of them here. You also can see some Altaia here, an Ashi over there also. The rest is mostly, I think, armor fast in this battalion, this first battalion of the Panzer Regiment 8. They are organized like this. Look, I, for instance, for early war, you can use this kind of company. So with short Panzer 3s and a Panzer 2. Panzer 2s over here are all matchbox. Virtually all my Panzer 2s are matchbox. Or you can use, for instance, the late type with a mix of short and long 50 millimeter guns. The same with the Asegawa. Almost all the 12 are Asegawa. All these Panzer IVs. I have this structure, for instance, you can use them like this, a company like this with short 75s, or like this with along with special Panzer IVs. British were calling it, which is effectively the F2 version with a long 75 millimeter L43. So this is the first battalion. Second battalion is pretty close. It introduces, main difference is to introduce plenty of PSC models, which are some very lovely models, very sturdy, very complete, very detailed also. I like them a lot. PSC is a great brand. And you can see also a few armor fast also. This is a command version of the, if I'm not mistaken, this is an S models, which produce some very beautiful models also. This went for the command of one of the battalions. The other one went somewhere else, I don't know. And you can see the 8. One of the reasons also to make the 2 regiments is of course the symbols. So there is, of course, special symbols both for regimental and divisional. There are special markings for this for both regiment and division. So then, if you don't have them, I mean, it sounds, for me at least, a bit strange. So keeping on with the regiment, you still have a FAMO over there from Altaia, and the rest of the division is made of the famous reconnaissance battalion 33. You can see here in Altaia 232, this one with the heroes, right? Yeah, Fujimi and Ayaneshi 222s. There are Asegawas, Asegawa Kugelwagen, sorry, the R37s BMW from. This one is Matchbox. The other ones are Fujimi, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there is a scratch built 247 here, made from the chassis of the Krupp Proza 69, which is a mistake. But I mean, I made them like this. I didn't know much about the vehicle. Nowadays, First to Fight makes a much better version of this, of course. But this one at least gave me lots of pleasure. I played some very nice big ones, Valiant figures, and I crew them. I think interesting way. So I really enjoy these vehicles. And then there is also one of the stars of this battalion is, of course, the famous 250 with Hotchkiss 25 millimeter anti-tank gun, which is also a scratch built thing. And then there is a towed Pak 50 by an SDK FC 11. Now to the Flak-Abteilungen. You can see the Asegawa's 88s, some of them crewed by Asegawa figures, others crewed by, or maybe this is, no, sorry, these are Asegawa, everything is Asegawa, crew and gun, and this one is an airfix crewed with Valiant figures, that's it. And then there are the 20mm, both SP and towed, the very nice Zvezda with a matchbox tow and an Altaia SP 20mm. And of course, the every time constant Anomag from Airfix. Then the artillery battalion, you can see here mostly Revel, 105mm guns, the very nice also Mini General 247s. Sorry, not 247, the Saurer RR7, sorry, that's the name. Austrian, they started to be Austrian, then they became, of course, German due to occupation, and they kept on being built by the Germans for a few more years. And these are also the very nice Skytrax, the last models of the Skytrax of this Lorraine 150mm, in which they mixed metal and resin. Now for the Panzerjäger, for instance. Panzerjäger 33. It has some very cute PSC Marder 3s with Russian guns, and these Marder ones with a Czech 4.7 centimeter gun. Of course, you can then intermingle these ones in a later period. For instance, this is for more or less, there was this organization, of course, but then these Panzerjägers were replaced by, of course, by 50mm guns, pack guns, more potent than the 47mm guns of these Panzerjäger ones. But I'll show you that later. There is here a divisional vehicle here, a PSC 263. And regarding units for the 15th, I think it's everything. Now for the 21st. 21st, it's more or less the same. I'm not going to bother you too much. You have here one battalion. You have another battalion here. You have more or less the same idea for the command. Look, you can have, for instance, by having this Panzer III, the Befehlswagen Panzer III, you can have mid-war or late war, and you can have here the early desert war with the Panzer I chassis with the command structure, of course. This is also a model from Fujimi, if I'm not mistaken. And here are models from all the previous brands I told you. Some of them have different stowage, of course, as Afrika Korps liked so much. Many of them have, sorry, the swastika, they should be here. In fact, they shouldn't be anywhere, but, well, just a question of historical accuracy, as you understand. Also some mix, of course, of commanders from Ashi with PSC tanks and different stuff around. I like to toy a lot with these plastic models. Plastic is a great medium for conversions, of course, as you know. And for the 2nd Battalion of this Panzer Regiment, by the way, it's Panzer Regiment 5, you have more or less the same idea. Here are introduced a few Panzer ones, which are, of course, important for early war. Especially up to Tobruk, you need a few of them. And this is the command vehicle, of course, of the another 263 for the 21st. Now for instance, for this, as we are close, this is the Panzerjäger battalion of the 21st, which was the 39. Again, same idea. The only difference is that instead of PSC Marders, you have Millicast Marders here with different crews that I enjoy a lot making from, of course, from all sorts of plastic figures. I like to change arms and to bend them and to heat them and do plenty of bad things to them in order for them to stay put as I want. Okay, and these models are very nice. Millicast models are also great. And these are from a pack that Millicast sells, in which you buy 3, and they are designed for wargaming. They are not complicated kits as many times Millicast makes, because the idea of Millicast is, of course, producing models for modelers, not for wargamers. But these ones here are for wargamers. The Marder ones are more of the Fujimi. No, sorry, of the Eshi ones. and the previous ones from, of course, from 15 Panzer were also Esche. Now artillery is here. There is a Zvezda one over there, but the rest of the guns are Revel. More of the Skytrax Lorraines 150. There is a Phenomenon Granite here from Attack with Simon Soldiers figures. The artillery, the flak battalion is a little bit incomplete. Flak battalion was the 617. I know these things by heart, in fact, because I'm reading from this paper. Okay, this is my secret for this presentation, and more of the same, more Asegawa models, which are great models with the right model of the desert 88. There was later, of course, in late war, in the desert, the PAC 41 came more potent and even more deadly. And here more of the this is Altaia for that towed 20 millimeter, and more Zvezda plus Matchbox towed 20 millimeter guns. A new reconnaissance battalion, this time the third reconnaissance Abteilungen, with more Altaia and Airfix models, more Asegawa and more Fujimi, and over there more strange things, namely, let me show you from this side, namely another 247 here, but a new special, if I can call it, which was this 250 with the short infantry gun, which is of course a conversion. I'm not sure if the thing was exactly like this, because I think this model I could never find any very solid information. It existed, but I couldn't see many. I mean, I don't even remember seeing any picture. Frankly, I remember seeing one with the French anti-tank 25 millimeter gun, but I don't remember seeing about this one. I don't remember. Sorry, seeing nothing about this one. More 50 millimeter packs, and I think the 21st is shown. Now for the 90 light, there are none of the 6 Panzergrenadier battalions it should have. It is just a simple version of the 90, because you can pick the Panzergrenadier battalions and other stuff from the 2 other units. In fact, the 90 light, I couldn't find many scenarios in which it can act with the other 2 big ones, the Panzer divisions, because it was used in a different role, of course, because it had no armor. It had, but it had very interesting vehicles, like this Bison, of course. All of the 12 that the Reich made ended up in the 90s light. 90 light. Please, more light. Okay, it came. And this is a BPM model with plastic PSC, Airfix, blah blah, and also Matchbox. Everybody living together happily inside this tin. Okay, with some extras, of course. Whoops, sorry. Okay. And you find another one here. You find the reconnaissance battalion, slightly smaller than the other ones. And nothing special here. It's just the same stuff. Altaia, Airfix, for instance. Airfix. No, this is probably Fujimi. Yeah, because of the roof. Yeah, that opens in halves. Yeah, I think so. And a few more Kubelwagens and 250s. Also, another specialty of this division was, of course, the famous Diana, which is there are 2 here. They are scratch-built guns on top of the Russian guns, of course, and superstructure, completely scratch-built on top of the Asegawa's Anomax. Okay, and here it is, with diverse crew. Same with the other one. Okay, other one is also a converted thing. Also special to or unique to the 90 light was this SDKFZ 7 with the flak Vierling. I made some trailers on them. They became quite nice. Also, of course, also plastic figures holding holding the 20mm rounds and things like that, with some Valiant heads probably, yeah, mostly. And this one is a little bit more relaxed, but also, of course, ready to engage the Allied aircraft, if necessary. When he, of course, he finishes drinking his maybe water or schnapps or something like that. So here is the most of the stuff for the 90s light. Sorry, there are still some AJT 76mm Russian guns used in the desert. There's a short Sturmgeschütz 3, also famous for being used by the 90 Light, and of course the famous also 100mm guns. These ones are Altair with Revel crew and Airfix, Matchbox, and things like that. Crew, all of course transformed for the new role. And this is the three main divisions. There is still the infantry to be shown. Let me, for instance, show you the Begleit Commando Rommel, the unit that defended Rommel itself. So there are a few vehicles I made for it. There is small. This is the 223, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is a conversion from the Airfix model. Okay, it became a radio station, a sort of. There is the famous, also some captured vehicles. They had this Begleit Commando. In fact, Begleit Commando had another name. Let me check on this very fine magazine. It was called the Kampfstaffel, exactly, Kampfstaffelpauk. Also, this book is nice. It's a dictionary of the Afrika Korps. It's a hors de série from Batailles Blindées, a French magazine, which is very good. Also, with plenty of details about all units that Afrika Korps had. And I also use it for keeping track of stuff in this big unit. You have here the famous Selge Farlafet 2. It is a completely scratch-built thing. I don't know who produces this model. I think only one or two, something like that, were produced, and they were intended to effectively keep an eye on headquarters, because in previous battles, some headquarters of the Afrika Korps were overrun. Also happened the same with 8th Army and before Montgomery's. Also British headquarters were overrun. So in the desert, with all that dust and all those desert storms and things like that, sometimes headquarters tended to disappear. So this vehicle was made in order to protect those headquarters, and this one was protecting Rommel itself. It is a very funny build, I think. It gave me lots of hours of pleasure of making this thing from plenty of different places, soft plastic wheels, and plenty of evergreen, as you can imagine. Gun came probably from a plastic kit, yeah, probably most for sure. Figures also came from PSC, I think, but all the rest is purely made up. But of course, it's based on the available information on the vehicle. I mean, it's made up to a certain extent, because even I think the size became quite reasonable. Then there is a guy armored car. It should be, of course, the Dorchester, of course, the famous mammoth that Rommel was using. It is not. It is one captured in previous battles. I think I showed you the cruiser. No, not yet. This is the capture, of course, British cruiser, put to defend the Kampfstaffel, also, or to help defend Rommel in the Kampfstaffel. There were also a pair of these in the Kampfstaffel. This one is Mini General. Is my third Bison, and there is a STKFZ 251, from where I just broke this. I just broke it works like this. Okay, it is, in fact, let me try to see. It works like this, but it's broken at the moment. I'll glue it later. And this is the Eschi model, with plenty of radios inside that you can see over there. You see, and converted to carry Rommel. It can be Rommel here or a high-ranking officer of the Deutches Afrikakorps, or of course Rommel can be here. Maybe it is better to see him here because that's Rommel figure, in fact, inside its famous Greif, inside its 250. Okay, bar 3, it is the command version. Okay, and now the last thing I want. No, there are still two things for me to show you. Other small parts of the Afrika Korps that I made. For instance, you can see here the Grand Puissance Filiou, the 155mm French gun. It was one of them was the famous Bardia Bill, so this one can be Bardia Bill, towed by a BPM. This is Mini General, and this is BPM. Everything is 3D printed. Here you see the this is the Morserlaff 270mm, if I'm not mistaken, and this is the model from Skytrax. Everything is metal in this one. Very heavy and very nice piece also. And this is from the 19th Flak Division. It is the Orsch with 20mm. It became an SP gun like this in this arrangement. Okay. You can see also a few models from this one is also very cute. Of course, everybody saw this one. It's very large Landwasser something from the Pioneer Company 770 what? 8 maybe, I don't know. It is also a model, a very good one. And over there you see some models that can be used to start a 10th Panzer. I mean, you can pick models from 21st Panzer or 15th Panzer and make the 10th Panzer, which was a little bit also, I mean, it was one of the last big units to arrive to the North African theater. And it brought the 233, the Panzer 3N, and also the Marder 3 model. This one is model Age, if I'm not mistaken, right? And it also brought a long-gunned Sturmgeschütz 3. And of course, there are some Tigers here. Tigers of the 501 Schwer Panzerabteilungen, right? So this one is Altair 1. Colors didn't came out exactly as I wanted, but even so, it's a distinct shade, distinctive camouflage at least, and I mean, in terms of symbols and numbers, things are more or less correct. And this one is Altair, and there are two Altair and there are two Asegawa ones, and this one is an Asegawa with plastic crew from Asegawa and PSC. Okay, the other two are over there, and more of the same. Now there are some few things left. For instance, still to be seen. For instance, this is the Ramka Brigade. It is complete here. Okay, I didn't take it from the box because it becomes a little bit boring, and frankly, there wasn't much space. This is the anti-tank battalion with the crew from various places also. 37mm guns, several pieces of artillery that belong to the Fallschirmjäger, right? I said Fallschirmjäger very well. There are, of course, the Kettenkrad from Asegawa. Others are from these ones here are from S models, and there are four of the battalions. In fact, they are all of the battalions are here. This is Lair. There is Heiter battalion. There is Crow battalion, and what was the name of that one? Hubner, I think. Hubner. Yes, this is Hubner battalion. Okay. So I made, of course, plenty of conversions as usual. I used Revel mostly, and also Eshi, with, for instance, with the 81mm mortars from Valiant. But most of the figures, are the very nice Eshi figures. And it's also a very nice, big but nice unit. There are some conversions here that you can see. And you can see here, for instance, the 50mm mortar, simply a simple conversion with Revel and Airfix figures. Well, that's it in terms of units. Now let's, for instance, see at a small pool of vehicles that you can place wherever you want. There weren't many 251s in the desert. Maximum I could find around El Alamein were more or less some 60 distributed among the two main Panzer divisions. There's also a pool here I have of anti-tank guns, both 37mm and 50mm pack, to distribute along infantry battalions and the regimental commands, etc. There is a pioneer battalion here for one of the divisions, with the famous 251 from Eshi, of course, with valiant figures. Then plenty of them, of course, converted with mine detectors, mines, and things like that. There is also a 251, which I think wasn't in the pioneers, but I place it just because it stays nice. There are some groups also of guys cutting barbed wire and things like that. And now for the two different kinds of infantry battalions. I have several a total of 6 infantry battalions, but I'm showing you here 2 organized differently. For instance, this is the early infantry battalion of the Afrika Korps, with 3 companies with more men and less weapons. For instance, the 37mm is here. I'm making up. I'm not sure if it had this presentation. I saw it in a different theater. I think I saw some of these in Russia. I imagine that in Afrika Korps there could be some also, which is a very funny idea, to mount 37mm on top of the KFZ 69 or KFZ 70. Now I'm not absolutely sure. There are some KFZ 15 from Altair also, pulling transporting the mortars, 8cm mortars, with some converted figures here, as you can see, coming from Revel artillery, other Revel converted with some rifles on their backs, and this is the old matchbox mortar crewmen. And you can see here, there are the usual MG34s, of course. For the beginning of the desert war, it has to be 34s. There are also some anti-tank rifles. You can see here they are scratch-built things with several plastic brands. This is the famous Airfix fighter of the MG34, and this one is coming from the Pack 40 of the Airfix. There are command groups, of course, and things like that. And sorry for the light in this part of the basement fades a little bit. So this is the battalion in which there were more men and less weapons. Now let's go to the more weapons and less men. Here it is. You can see it better like this. I chose a mechanized battalion here. There weren't many SDKFZ 251s, but I'm showing here a battalion filled with them. Look, the companies shrinked, of course, and added a pack 38, a 50mm gun. These are all from PSC, and some tows, of course. There's also some command vehicles. The command structure didn't change very much. This is the famous tire. This one is from Altair, and you see here already the introduction of some MG42s, for instance, here from this one from Valiant with different crew. And my friends, this is everything. I hope you have enjoyed. This was also a unit that gave me many, not hours. This one gave me, months of travel, also of pleasure, of course. I made it along many years, and now I have it. I can say it more or less complete, and it's another one that I enjoy, and I feel some pride, if I can say, because it was in fact the effort of many years. of reading books and of putting together kits. Of course, I could have done it much faster if in the last few years, I've used plenty of the nowadays rapid constructed kits. Most of these things are taking the PSC and Armor Fast models. Most of them are Esegawa, Fujimi, Airfix, Matchbox, which of course are much more time consuming. But on those days when we were younger, we also had plenty more time than we had nowadays. So probably the joy was very much, and the pain was probably something that you could forget easily. So I hope you have enjoyed. I hope also that I didn't forget to show you anything. I think I didn't. And I hope you have enjoyed once again, and see you next with another big unit. Bye bye. Ciao.